And I was feeling so horrible Monday, but I saw what I could. I think that, you know, like the business community says, is that somehow Colm Imbert is able to deliver a budget presentation that is not what you expected. He comes across only in that moment as a soft guy, the guy who is considerate of the population and, you know, looking at all the areas that affect people and trying to treat with those areas, you know. The put in further rebate on utility for those who are on the bread line. No offering it for not only electricity but water. You know, so I think these are important things because if you're not earning, this can help. And I know that for the Nurses Association, the issue has always been, you know, term of contract or, you know, if you're able to get, you know, what, as you said, what is within the scope of the ministry and the RHAs. So talk to us about that. Let the population understand, you know, what the terms and conditions are within the ministry and the RHAs and what the nurses are working for or how they're working at this time.
So the policy as approved by the Ministry of Health for the employment of nurses and midwives, in fact, all the regional health authority workers, is that you would come on a temporary probationary period for 6 months. Following that, you are to be made permanent.
So after how long should you be?
6 months.
After 6 months, you should automatically be made. But Idi, isn't that there's something fundamentally flawed with that for me? I wouldn't expect that. I've worked here for 6 months now. I wouldn't expect to be naturally just made permanent without any kind of evaluation, any kind of appraisal to see whether or not I'm good enough to be a part of the institution full time.
Well, let me expound on it a bit. After that 6 months, you have to undergo a performance appraisal. If that performance appraisals indicate that you are not at the level where you should be, then you could extend it by a further 3 months. After that 3 months, they must make a decision whether they let you go or they bring you on the establishment, because nursing and midwives are on the permanent staff establishment. It is not a contract position. It's not a position that is expected to end the services of a nurse to be expected to end in a year or 2 years or 3 years. It's an ongoing position. So really the RHAs really went against their own policy, went against cabinet approved documents. And that is why we would have really lobbied this. This has really been an issue since I came into office. Sound like a politician here, but since I came into office, and this was our #1 issue. We have many other issues, but this was a central issue affecting thousands. And by that statement, it not only affected the nursing personnel who were temporary and now would be made permanent, but it also affects the permanent workers also, because the permanent workers pay into a pension plan. That pension plan, by all aspects, all the RHAs pay into that pension plan held by a financial institution, was, in our view, in jeopardy. Because if you have persons continuously retiring, drawing down from that pension plan, and you don't have any new persons coming into the system as permanent workers, and thereby contributing to that pension plan, the overall pension plan will suffer, just as the NIS that we hear from NIB.
Is it that you didn't have anybody whatsoever being made permanent over the years, and how long has this been ongoing for?
It varies from RHA to RHA. So for instance, in North Central Regional Health Authority, where this all started, they have persons 10 years working on 1 year temporary employment with no forms of benefits, no pension payments or gratuity payments. Then you have institutions like Tobago. They too took a policy that they are not making any persons permanent. They're actually just bringing them on for 2-year contracts. Recently, it got worse. They started bringing on persons for 3 months and 6 months temporary employment without gratuity. So it varies across sectors. But what we definitely saw is an expansion of this unethical practice, in our view, unrational practice.
So let me ask you something. With what the Minister of Finance announced, do you expect that all of these nurses now are going to be made permanent?
We expect, all we want, all the association has been asking for, is for the authorities to follow their own policy. This is not something we negotiated for. This is something that is already there. So all persons past 9 months, we expect to see be deemed permanent.
Are the appraisals being done?
Well, they ought to be done.
Yeah, but I don't think you should make them permanent without the appraisals at all. You ever meet some of them nurses?
Well,
I am in the healthcare system. I have met some of the. I've met really awesome nurses. Like I go on some wards and I be like, thank you, Jesus, and I go on some wards and I be like, oh, how Lord help me.
Yeah. Well, you won't believe that the association has been lobbying the very government to fix that problem. Just like all professional bodies, there's a regulatory body responsible for treating with issues like that. And we have been lobbying the government to fix that regulatory body.
Fix it how?
Well, to amend the Nursing Personnel Act to give the regulatory body more teeth, and then more so, that regulatory body, which is supposed to comprise of 7 people from the ministry and 9 elected persons from the membership, there's no 9 elected persons as we speak. So everybody who is on the regulatory body to address your concern is appointed by the Minister of Health as we speak. So the Minister of Health actually has 100% control, in our point of view, of what happens with the regulatory body to treat with any disciplinary action of a nursing staff.
So so the Minister of Health right now, I don't know how long this has been ongoing for. The Minister of Health right now is Terence Singh.
Correct.
Are you suggesting to me that Terence Singh, the Honorable Minister, has this regulatory body without any elected nursing members there?
It has been, for the last 2 years, a series of challenges has been going on with that regulatory body. First begin, it hasn't really been operating over the decades how it ought to be operating. In fact,
so maybe you are the ones who haven't put your 9 people there, but you can't tell the minister not to put your 7.
It's up to the council who has been appointed by the minister to call elections. They recently tried to call elections, and unfortunately, the association had to intervene through the courts to stop the election because a number of discrepancies. We really haven't brought that to the public information.
So really no, the thing is that you are the one as the nursing association that has stopped the elections as far as we know.
Elections were supposed to be held in April of 2019 for this regulatory body. Very crucial body. The president at that time prevented elections from being held.
Well, you have 9 elected members at that point.
The 9 elected members then sought to remove the president. But by that time, it was too late. It was already into our next term. And then that same individual challenged the ability to move him and went to court. Justice Prasad said, look, he's right, he's out, the time frame is out, but he's saying, look, you was the problem. So you cannot come now and benefit from the problem you created, basically. So that has transferred, and that has led to a series. And then the number one mistake the Honorable Minister of Health, Mr. Terence Singh, made was reappoint the person who caused all of this problem. Appoint him now.
How did he? I don't know that there was a problem with reappointing him if at the end of the day, the 9 people sat there and allowed him to serve over his time. That's not the minister's point. You can't tell the minister, well, don't reappoint this person because...
But the person who would have caused all the problems, because we, council, has been able to successfully hold elections every year. Every 3 years, it's a 3-year term. The one time that did not happen is when this person was in office. And then you decide, look...
Yeah, but is not him caused himself to be there over the time? It means that you all didn't do your responsibility, due diligence, to ensure that the elections were held on time. You had the 9 people there at the time, not so?
That individual suspended persons from the boards who was lobbying, demanding that elections be held. So that is an entire debate, all of its own. But
all right, no problem. So Idi, we are almost out of time, but the minister indicated that he is going to investigate. Is that what the word he used? That he's going to investigate the situation and have it resolved by year end.
Yes.
So I think inside of that investigation should be to ensure that these appraisals are done. I don't even know that I'm comfortable with somebody being there 6 months and then being made permanent. I don't know if it's enough time to determine, because you know why I think nurses are different from fire officers or is because it is so much more hands-on. That's the reality. And that it's a personal touch that you cannot deny that's necessary. And I think that's why, you know, it's important to have that, to me, a 1 year and then an appraisal before making somebody permanent. Is this something the association would be okay with?
No, we will not be okay with it. We want government to follow the policy, and there are areas where you could improve the quality of the nurse. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Idi, we have to leave it there, but
Sure.
I really hope that the nurses get some resolution to the issues that they're facing. And if they can't, you know, it's on you. You're the president. Yes. All right. But it's time to get to our feel-good moment sponsored by Nescafe.
This feel-good moment is brought to you by Nescafe. It all starts with a Nescafe.
The trees for the food we reap from the land, and eyes behold the beauty. I'm a beautiful twin island. Big O good and love Trinidad, Jamaica, Grenada, the whole Caribbean. Send me and keep me heart clean even when the world gets so cool and mean. Through the rise and the falls, I'm a fit and tall and strong, Natalee. Me never ever lose hope, even when me had to cope, keep a smile on me. And me have to live
Brought to
happy
you
and
by
free.
Nescafe. It all starts with a Nescafe.
In a world where time runs ahead of us and things don't always work as we planned, you have to be right. You have to be ready. You have to have your 3-in-1 coffee. Tomorrow, a hero will rise in 150 milliliters of water. Everywhere. Rich, right, ready to go. Nescafe 3-in-1.
What Nescafe? Not in there.
That was Xavier Edwards giving us the feel-good moment, all courtesy Nescafe this morning with a brand new track called Blessings. You know, it's always good to count your blessings first thing in the morning. And if that doesn't make you feel good, I don't know what will.
Yes. They know what will? Your 3-in-1 Nescafe. Just take a sip. Oh, mine finished. Mine finished.